Day. I am super excited. I've got Broni here from WA. Hello, hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm so good. Thank you for joining me on here. It's now become
Thank
one of
you.
my favorite things to bring practitioners on here just to share with people what's possible for their healing journey. I was actually listening to a podcast this morning and it was just someone was talking about, they were actually talking about food and weight loss actually on this podcast. But what they just said was, you might not have tried everything. And I was thinking about us today and doing this and thinking that's what I feel as well. I actually feel with healing, so many people out there feel like they've tried everything and their body doesn't heal or can't heal. And I guess me coming on here with people like you is just for everybody at home to realize, well, maybe you haven't tried everything. Maybe there's another thing to try and to really know that your body is incredible, that healing happens and it's happening for the people that we work with. So for me, that's the motivation over here. I can talk about spinal flow forever and I do talk about spinal flow forever. But really, what I can talk about more is that the body is so incredible. The body has an innate wisdom inside for healing to happen. And that's what myself and my incredible team of spinal flow practitioners are doing around the world. So we've got Broni here. She's from WA and she'll tell us at the end exactly where to find her. But, you were sharing with me that you have been working with some people and having great results. And I just love it when it's not me speaking. So can you tell us, share with us, someone that you've been working with that you've had some pretty good results with?
Yes, absolutely. My first client was a man actually over here on holiday to come and see his brother. Had never heard of spinal flow, but noticed a big change in the way his brother was able to walk because he had had surgery on his back and he's got put together with plates and screws and all the rest of it. So he's in the winter finds it very, very hard to move because it all freezes up. So he noticed a big difference in him and asked what it was about. So he said that he'd been coming to spinal flow. So he said, well, you better take me down and see what that's about. So turns out he was put into early retirement through a major concussion that he'd had, which really, really debilitated his life and kind of took over his life. So we found it really, really hard to do anything. He was having trouble just getting up if he'd been sitting down, and especially after being in bed all night, he'd get up in the morning and it was a bit of a three-step process. So he'd wake up and have to lay there for a couple of minutes, and then he'd set himself up against a wall couple of minutes, and then he'd be able to stand up, but he'd have to have something supporting him, otherwise he'd feel quite dizzy and fall over. Um, that was his major thing that he came for. And after the very first session that he had, he just got up the next morning and just walked out into the kitchen. And then he sort of thought about it and he went, wow, I have never done that since the concussion. So he said to his brother, you better take me back down there. So in the 3 weeks that he was here, he had 17 sessions. He absolutely loved it. And he also, I found out later that he had actually had a shoulder injury 50 years prior, and he was never able to lift his shoulder up above his chest height. And he was able to. He's now lifting weights. He's not heavy weights, but up to 4 kilos. And he's walking every day, and he's had absolutely no vertigo or dizziness or anything like that since he had spinal flow. So he's as blown away as I am, because I was like, wow, he had so much going on in his body. Yeah, so he's actually, when he comes back for a holiday, he will be coming in again to see what else we can do. But yeah, absolutely amazing the difference in his body. And yes, he's gone home and told everybody all about it. And yeah, it's absolutely amazing.
It's so amazing, isn't it? Because I don't think we realize. I think that what happens is it might be that, we've had a little bit of trauma, or it could be physical stress or chemical stress and emotional stress, and the body creates a blockage. And
Yeah,
often we don't even know about it, but then, we keep going through life and the body might speak to us. And often the body speaks to us by, whispering like, hey, I'm not okay, or hey, and we're so busy that we don't listen to it. And slowly
Yeah.
over time, the whispers become little screams and they become a little bit more. And then we can go, but what happened? I didn't do anything today. Where that initial blockage or that initial stress that's stored in the spine, it can be physical stress with, an injury or trauma, but with plates
Yeah.
and screws and all the stuff that's happened, or it can be still emotional, chemical. But what happens is if that's still in the body and it actually stops the nerve supply coming from the brain and the body, it interferes with the structure, it interferes with the function. And then it can be years and years going, I've got insomnia and I've got vertigo and I can't do this. And a lot of people can be sitting there going, but I didn't do anything, as opposed to that's been in the body for a really long time. And then the
Yeah.
body says, okay, enough. And how good that he's just like, and also sometimes it takes trust, like the fact that his brothers said, come. And then everything changes in their world because with us as spinal flow practitioners, what we do is we look to release blockages from the spine. We look to
Yes.
increase flow. When there's more flow, there's less blockages, less stress in the body. The body comes and does what it needs to do. The messages from the brain comes out to the spine, to the organs, everywhere that needs to do for healing to happen. And changes happen, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's massive. And, I have found with clients, because a lot of people have stress around trust. So once they trust in the body and the wisdom of healing, the healing is massive. And it seems to be some people straight away, and other people have a few sessions and then get to a point and you're like, there it is. And then it's just massive, like their body just has a massive change. You can feel it and they can feel it. It's so cool.
But it's
So cool.
hard though, because I understand what people feel like. Like it's really hard to
Mm.
trust your body when you feel like your body's letting you down. If you feel
Yes.
like you're in pain or you're not sleeping or you're not digesting, you can actually feel like, well, I don't trust my body. It's not doing what it needs to do, as opposed to, hey, my body's doing everything it needs. I've had so much stress and trauma that this is actually makes sense that it's going, but we're not told that. That's kind of like when we're born, we should be given a rule book of this is what your body does and this is what it says and this is how it communicates. But we don't know that. And we can think that our body's failing us, but actually sometimes it stops us moving to actually stop us moving for protection, because it's saying, hey, I'm going to hold you together so you are safe.
Yes, yes. It's amazing, isn't it? And it can take a long time to actually trust your body. As funny as that sounds, but if you think about it, you really need to think about whether you do have trust in yourself and in your body. And when you do, then the healing is massive. I mean, healing happens anyway, lifting off the layers until it gets you to that place. But once it does happen, it's huge. And it's something you can't sort of explain to people until it does happen. And then you can have that conversation. It's just massive.
See, healing happens, for what we do is we put a contact on the access point that puts more flow into the system to decrease blockages. And that happens no matter what. Like, you lie on the table, that's what happens there. It's actually turning the body from a fight flight response into a rest, digest, and heal. And just by it's kind of works with working on what works with the body. So many modalities and so many people work with what's broken. We look at find that area that's already working. Where is there already ease? We show the brain, we talk directly to the brain. So the brain goes, oh, I can create more ease, and more growth happens and more openness for healing to happen, which is what I love, because it's working a little bit opposite. It's like we get there's stress and trauma, but there's also ease. Let's grow that. Now I want you to, because you've got some other pretty cool people that you've been working with. So
Yes.
tell us about the other person that you're telling me.
Yeah, so I have another lady. She's in around 60 years old, and she's had a lot of trauma in her life from when she was born, and possibly from inside the womb as well. She came with a massive, very, very depressed. She's been on antidepressants for many, many years. And so with that, she's bursitis in the shoulder, sciatica, lower back pain, very, very chronic fatigue, and digestive issues with everything else that had gone on in her body as well with all of the trauma. and bulging disc in L4 and L5. So she had a lot happening for her. She's had 19 sessions so far, and her transformation has been absolutely amazing. So, after 11 sessions, she came to me and said that she was actually slowly taking herself off the antidepressants, and she thought within a week she'd be completely off them. So yeah, massive. That's just massive. And then she came to me the week later and said she had finished her antidepressants. She wasn't on them anymore. So that was at 12 sessions. She's now had 19, and she's had no depression at all since then. So, which is really, really big for her because she spent her whole life in it. So it's massive. It's massive celebration for her. She's done so well. Yeah, she still have little bouts of sadness and things like that, but she doesn't spiral or anything like that anymore. So it's been a massive journey, and just coaching her through all of that so she's not alone in her healing journey as well, because I think that that's very important. Quite often people can feel quite isolated when they're healing because people don't understand what they're going through. So I feel really, really honored to have helped this lady. And through the sessions as we've gone on, the bursitis in the shoulder is completely changed. It just comes and goes now. Sciatica gone. She has absolutely no lower back pain at all. She sleeps a lot better, and the fatigue is an enormous improvement. And she's actually so happy in herself now. It's just amazing to see from when she very first came in. We're speaking about self-love and all of that sort of thing. And she looked at me and cried, and she said, I don't even know what that is. Like, how do you even do that? And then sort of over the time of coaching and speaking about different things that was happening in her life, she's a massive journey for her, and she's now actually feeling love for herself and choosing better as well. She's made massive life changes in this short time, that where she's gone, wow, that's a new me. That's not something she would normally be full of guilt and shame and all of that sort of thing, and self-sabotage. And she's been able to go, wow, I'm actually happy with that decision. And, that sort of thing as well. It's been massive, massive healing for her. It's absolutely amazing.
That's so amazing. And it's, like it's like, I know that some people are like, oh, there's 19 sessions. And I'm like, but that's years of being on antidepressants and not being okay. And some people we work with have, they do really well with a few sessions. Other people have, 20, 30, 40 years of stress and trauma in their body. And I just want to bring light to what happens for long lasting changing, to take away medications or to heal the body. We want to do it in an authentic way so it doesn't come back. And that means actually removing the layers of stress from the body, creating more movement in the vertebrae. So the messages from the brain come down to the nervous system without interference. And, when no one even thinks about when you put braces on your teeth, that it takes time. You don't just put them on and take them off. Like my kids had them. It was 2-3 years, and then it's a retainer, and then it's maintaining it. And that's your teeth. Like, we're talking about spinal health that affects your brain, your mind, your emotions. And it's where we hold stress from our lives. So I just say for you as well, just to know at home that we don't know how long it's going to take. We just know that some people have a lot of stress in the body. Some people have less. Some people respond quickly. Some people don't. We don't know that. But what we do know is that when the body has less stress and more flow and more ease, healing happens. And in whichever way it's needed for you, really. So I'm just blown away because, you're talking about, this lady that's how she was feeling. Like, she was relying on a medication for happiness or to get through life. And what if people didn't have to just get through life and they could just have purpose and happiness and feel good, which is how you've worked with her. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, the change has just been amazing. And I'm so honored that she chose me to come and work with her. It's just absolutely beautiful.
And
It's
the other
really
thing I wanted to share was because you said as well that, being on the journey with her is important. And it is, because healing, I would love it if, people came in, they were here and they went like that and they just went, all right, I'm better, better, better. But we know it's not like that. Healing is like, oh, it's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. And even though we're moving towards the goal, when it's up, we're like, oh, I love this practitioner. When it's down, it's like, everything is worse. And you really do need to be supported by someone that has been on this journey or can facilitate healing to go, it's okay. I've tracked your body. I felt it. I'm doing assessment. I know that your body's no longer how it was. We are definitely moving towards the goal. Like, stay in there. So many people start their healing journey and feel a little bit better, or they just feel worse and worse and worse. But then they're like, this isn't going to work. I'm like, oh, you gotta get through it, because if there's layers and layers and layers, we can't even get into, where that healing energy is, where that life force is, where the body, where everything is that needs to heal. So it is an experience, it is a journey, healing.
Yes.
And it is about finding someone that you can work with that can support you. I want to say this as well. You do need someone to support you that has more belief in your body's ability to heal, because they can initially, when you want to heal from something, you want help and support, because you can feel like, oh, I don't know. After a while, you're like, I've got this, and you become more empowered in your own healing journey. But initially, it's really good to have someone where you can just surrender and know that they're watching your body, they're tracking your body, and you can go, you know what, I'm just doing this healing thing, which
Yes.
clearly you do really well for your beautiful clients.
Amazing. Yes, absolutely. And I do have another client that I would like to talk about, and this lady has absolutely blown my mind. She's had so far 5 sessions, and her healing has been huge. She's in around 70 years old. She came with me with lots and lots of stuff. Her major complaint when she came in, she was really struggling to breathe, like really gasping for air, which was really sad. Pins and needles in her leg, pains, and her whole spine was just hurting. Hearing issues, issues with her eyes, neck problems, constipation. She had the whole lot just going on. Her very first session, when she got up off the table, her breath, the struggle was gone. Like, you could actually see her just breathing easily, and she was absolutely blown away about how just such a light touch could do so much for her. Yeah, she just couldn't believe it. And even just to see the change, you could see the struggle in her breath at the front and the back of her chest. When she first came in, it was, honestly, it's phenomenal. And then the second session that she came in, she'd said after a session she got a little bit of a niggly tooth, and then the following day her face just swelled up and she was in a lot of pain. So she got down on the table. She could taste a whole lot of chemical stuff in her mouth, and it was just really, really yucky. And then after about 5 minutes, she lifted her head up and she went, wow, it's a miracle, and put her head back down. No idea what she was talking about. And when she got up, she said, my face, just the swelling in my face went, like the pain's gone. I can't taste, like that taste is gone. Everything was just gone. She just couldn't believe it. So the toothache completely gone. So there was obviously a stress that had come up from the first one, showing in her tooth, and then that was yelling at her, and then it just disappeared, and she hasn't had a problem with it since, which is just amazing. And this lady, she's had, she's had hot sweats, and she's had earaches and all sorts of stuff coming up. And then her third session, she came and she was on the table. She didn't want to get up because she felt really, really sick, and she had massive reflux. Finally, she sat up and she just started like just belching. She was so embarrassed, and she was just belching. And when she got home, she was kind of going both ends. And then she sent a message to me the next day, and she said, I had the best sleep, and I actually got to sit down and have a meal and not feel bloated and have pain in my stomach afterwards, which was massive. I didn't even know that she had that issue. So it's just amazing. And then after her fourth session, she has gout in her foot, and she had a big lump on the side of her big toe. And she said that's gone down by 3/4. Like, it's just so many things are happening in her body that she didn't actually realize could help her, because every time she's spoken to doctors and all the rest of it, they've said to her, oh, it's just age. It's just what happens. So, as we're going through, I'm explaining to her about the intelligence of her body and how clever it is and what it can heal from. Well, anything really. And it's just been absolutely amazing. When she came for her last session, she had said she'd had fatty lumps all under her skin, all over her body. And she was in the shower and she felt her arms, and she thought, that can't be right. She felt them again, and all of the fatty lumps under her skin on her arms have gone, and her legs have gone down by about half. When she went to the doctor about this complaint, he'd said, oh, it's just fatty lumps being pushed through your muscles. We can operate if you want to, but not much else we can do. So she hadn't even told me about these fatty lumps until they disappeared, because she was just absolutely blown away. She didn't realize that they could go. So that was just a massive thing that she just can't believe. So all of these fatty lumps just disappearing from her body, it's just absolutely amazing. And also she came in without a hearing aid on. So she hasn't been able to hear properly for many years. And even her grandson went to turn the TV up, and she said, oh no, I can hear that. And he said, Grandma, I can hardly hear it. And he was like, what's going on with you? And she went, I don't know. So she came in on her fifth session and had no hearing aid, and said she could hear me fine without me having to speak louder, or when she was laying on the table, she could actually hear me as well, which she normally couldn't. So she's absolutely blown away with if all of the changes that her body's going through, and just 5 sessions. So her body's just so ready for it. It's unbelievable. And that's just some of the things that I've sort of spoken about. There's she thinks that she's actually lost weight around her waist as well. Her clothes are feeling looser, and she's saying, but I haven't changed my diet. What's happening? It's just she had puffy eyes and tingling in her face all the time, and that's gone. It's just, yeah, like she's actually, her face is looking younger. You can see the stress just gone out of her face. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
So good, isn't it? Like, it just, when you're speaking of her, I just think what an amazing gift to work with her and for
Yeah.
her to work with you. But it just comes up for me like how incredible the body is. Like, when I
Yes.
think of the processes of the body, and even when an egg meets a sperm and the eggs, the cells multiply for a little baby to come up, like, that's smart. There's wisdom in that. Like, the wisdom of, even when we have, of how to get rid of something bad, the vomiting and diarrhea, that's smart. Raising our temperature for viruses and bacteria, that there's such smartness in our body. But the body's not but, and the body's really smart with healing. Like, it knows what to do. And, we speak a lot in the spinal flow training of make a contact, speak directly to the brain with a contact, and then just watch with awe and wonder of what's that person's body going to do as it moves towards healing. And it's endless. Like, it's the most fun ever, because firstly, we see it, we watch the stress come out of the system, but then we hear all these stories and we're like, I couldn't even try or even think that that would happen if my brain was involved. And it's like we've got this trust and this knowing that the body is incredible. And again, I know that people listening to this are thinking my body's not incredible, and I just got to have to challenge you on that, because your body is incredible. The body is incredible, and our bodies are under stress. And when the bodies are under stress, they go into fight, flight, and they don't go into healing. When you go and see a spinal flow practitioner, you move out of fight, flight, you move towards healing, and all of this stuff happens. And it just gets exciting every time someone comes in and they tell you all this other stuff. You're like, what do you mean? Like her hearing's changed? What do you mean that, there's weight coming off when hasn't changed her diet? Like, and a lot of that's to do with stress in the body. It just is.
Yeah.
Stress in the body blocks healing. When
Mm.
stress is released from the body, amazing stuff happens. So I love that you've shared with us about her and changing her world. It's so exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing. And every client that comes to me usually after the first session, they say they feel lighter. And they feel like they're standing taller as well. They feel like they've stretched, they've grown, it's amazing. Like even just in one session with the stress being lifted off the body.
But that's what I was going to say. The body feels heavy and the body feels tired when it's trying to hold you together. When it's
Yes.
holding all the stress and all the layers and it's protecting and hiding the heart and all the things. Life is hard. We have lack of energy. It's hard to sleep. More pain comes because everything's tired and stuck and stressed. But then when that starts to come off and your body moves to fight, flight, it's like, oh, I feel lighter or different, or I slept better, or I've got less pain. And you're like, yes, here we go.
Yeah, it's amazing. Every time I put my hands on a body, it blows my mind. It's mind blowing every single time. Every single session is different with every client, and they notice a difference. Like quite often they'll say, "Oh, that's different to the last session," or haven't had that before, or it's just every session's different because every session we're releasing different stresses from their body. So
But you know
yeah,
what I want to say as well is that they are different every time. And so when someone, and that's what I find funny with some practitioners out there. I remember I was trying to send my son to see someone and they wanted to take x-rays of him. And I was like, okay, well, what happens? And they said, oh, based on the x-rays is what we're going to do. And I said, okay, but what happens after a session or two? They said, oh, we're still going to use the same x-rays to determine what we're going to do. And that really confused me. But I'm like, but don't you expect his body to be different every time? And I kind of stumped them and I was like, okay, well, you're not a practitioner that my son can see, because for me, when I work with someone, I mean, I don't see people anymore, but I teach this, that every contact creates change. And there's no way that that person's body's the same, because
yeah,
they change. And when they come back from visit to visit, you're like, who is this body? It feels completely different. It's functioning different. And we expect that change with our clients. We expect them to be different, because if they're coming in the same, I hate to say it, we're not really making a difference in their lives. We really, and sometimes that changes. I feel amazing and this happened. And sometimes it's like, oh, I feel completely crap. Both of those are okay, because as we move towards greater healing, as long as the body's changing structure, the physiology is changing, the assessments are changing, we're on the path to greater healing and health, which is exciting.
yes, it's very exciting, and it's such an awesome modality to be able to share with the world, really, with all the practitioners that are out there now. It's massive. Imagine a whole world of everybody just having spinal flow sessions. It'd be so different.
We
So
we would have a different world if people felt better in their bodies, if they felt
yes,
better with their connections, if they had more happiness, more energy, less pain, more purpose. Our whole world would be different. And that's why I keep doing what I'm doing. I'm like, okay, we're here to change the world. Now, I just want to say before we get off here, for those people that are in WA and want to see you, how do they find you?
my company name is Mana Therapies. I'm based in Wellard, Western Australia, and you can find me. I have a website, or on Facebook or Instagram as well. So I'm on all of those social media.
Yay. Well, thank you for being on here. And thank you for being part of my tribe and working with me to do good stuff in the world. I massively appreciate
Pleasure.
who you are and how you show up. Thank you. Thank you for today.